Some high-level points around provisioning. I mentioned that most of the user account provisioning products already include some level of role management and include some level of access recertification. So look for products that have role mining and role management in them. You cannot manually do this process, right? Especially for the large number of people. We see time window support. In other words, if you need to make certain changes in the future at some point in time and undo those changes at a later point in time. In other words, when a contractor joins at 3 weeks from now and they terminate it 6 months from then, you can do that automatically. So they have support in most of the products for that. Time machine obviously is built in. You can go back in time and you can do auditing. You can look at your enterprise job role system the way it looked 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. You don't have to restore any backups. Connector support is broad, and a lot of vendors have implemented some level of screen scraping or automation that you no longer have to develop connectors for those green screen or legacy applications. You can basically use any kind of a GUI to create a connector for that. Access recertification, again, just as is role management, access recertification is also part of the products, which is a very good thing. You don't have to actually buy separate products here. And we're seeing a huge shift from best-of-breed products, or point products being deployed. Everybody using the same, different kinds of products that are best in their categories. And this is being replaced by a move towards stack-based products or suites, because it's just a lot easier to integrate a stack of products than point products from a lot of different vendors. Role mining support is something that's becoming universal. It's very important to see that people have had enough of manually going through Excel spreadsheets of manually created entitlement information. So if you have role mining in a product, that's great, and you should use it. How many of you have had some experience with role mining? My roles, 2. Okay. It's a fun product, right? It's a fun project. But you can see a lot of different things there. And role management. So making changes to roles, certifying roles, seeing what roles would do to your company if you implemented them, how they would change the entitlements that people have is very important too. Again, this is some trends in the role management. We've seen people, kind of looking at unifying the roles, increasing feedback, representing a lot of complex organizations, temporality of roles. You can go back and forth in time. One important thing is to mention is this, avoiding role overgrowth. If you create your roles based on rules. So if you look at a user's position in the organizational tree, a location where they are at, their job code, their postal code, and things like this, you can quickly come up with a lot of rules for this, right? Very quickly. You have to have special, means and mechanisms and processes to understand how you should not let this happen. Right? If you have an organization and you need to maintain thousands of rules to create job roles that puts people into those roles, that's a bad idea. So you have to kind of minimize role overgrowth as best as you can. Adding risk representation is clearly something that is important. People have been asking me, so great, Andras, we got tens of thousands of people here. We did our role mining. Where should we start, right? What is the organizational, the number of people that we should start with? Does the tool provide me with any answers to those questions? It's something that people and vendors have started doing. There's not a lot of automation there yet, but there's some signs that this will be probably one of the next upcoming improvements to the product and role management. Federation of roles, standard role taxonomy, again, something totally far in the future. We're seeing people trying to use federated role management and use role management products in conjunction with federated access management. There's minimal supporting products today for this. We'd like to see some standard role taxonomy, so having some standardization as to what an accounts receivable clerk does, at least at a business level, right? Some standardization. Okay, this is basically just an architectural slide. I really want to just kind of mention that we've seen entitlement enforcement and role management and access recertification in the wave kind of come to the surface. So you can study this slide, but clearly the important areas are role management and access recertification being part of provisioning. Let's see, and obviously how you can integrate all this into a meta policy, federated and trust model and workflow is important just as well. Okay, let's look at role management and role-based access control best practices.